So let's have a look at the lovely French knot. You love them or hate them, so let's try and make you love them. I'm going to show you French knots on this project here. Now you can see I've already started this and we've done some in beads here. If you want to know how to do that, you think they look nice, there's a card up here. You can follow that link and see how I've done this letter so far, these letters so far. So I want to show you how to finish them in French knots. French knots and beads go really nicely together, they're a good combination, but we'll just look at French knots in this video here. So I'm going to use just an ordinary stranded cotton. I've got 3 strands here, they come with 6 strands and I've just taken out 3 there, so we're going to use 3. I've got them in an embroidery needle number 9. And I'm going to show you the French knot in this letter, then how to mix them with the beads. So I've got a knot in the end, park that out of the way, 2 small stitches to start my thread, so straight up and straight back down, working that on the design line so that will get covered up, but that just secures the end of my thread. And let's just dive straight in to put my glasses on. So come up with your needle where you want your French knot to sit. Thread comes down towards you, needle over the top, thread comes over the needle, around it, back underneath. Keep the tension on the thread, don't let it go loose. Needle goes back into the fabric, near to where you came out, but don't go down the same hole because then they can pull through to the back, so near to where you started the thread. And the trick is, with these French knots, to pull it tight around the needle before you pull the needle to the back. If you don't do that, you get all sorts of funny loopy things. And just guide that thread down, don't pull too tight, just gently French knot. Now I'm going to mix my colours up a little bit, so I'm just going to jump and leave a bit of a space. So I'll show you another one. Come back up where you want the French knot to sit, thread towards you, needle above the thread, take the thread over, back underneath, keep the tension, needle goes into the fabric near to where you came out, pull it tight. Once I've pulled it tight, I can actually let go. Pull it through to the back, nice and gently, comes down into a knot. I'm going to park that thread over there, leave that on the top and bring in another colour. Let's bring in some white. So I'll put all my knots out of the way in the S. I can cut those off shortly when I've done a few knots, but just keep them out of the way. So some little starting stitches. On that D, and let's do one down the bottom. Just going to fill in the shape. It doesn't really matter what order. They do have a kind of way up. If you always come up at the bottom and go down above it, they'll all kind of line up, but for this I want them to be a bit more organic, so I'm not really worrying too much about where I start and finish. So thread towards me, needle away, wrap the needle, keep the tension, needle into the fabric, pull the thread tight around the needle. If you do that, you'll always get the same tension of French knot. Pull it gently through to the back. Let's jump up here and do one over and back. And let's pop to the other side of this blue one. Put one next to it. You can get quite quick at this, get into a rhythm, but if you follow those rules they'll always come out the same each time, and as long as you don't go back through the same hole they won't pull through to the back. So let's park that one over there. We could fill in a few with the beads so you can see that they look like the beads. So let's put one in there. Now these are a bit smaller than the beads are quite chunky, so if you want to you can wrap it twice. I wouldn't wrap it more than twice because then it becomes a different kind of a knot and doesn't look like a French knot. Pull it a bit harder to get it through, but I think twice is okay, to be honest. Let's put one on the end. just makes them a little bit more of a similar size. Okay, I think that's enough. We could jump down here, put one in down here. And I'll show you another knot that you can do that makes it look a little bit bigger. If you just hang around a bit, I'll show you that one too. Right, let's park that over there. Bring in another colour. Trying to match the colours of the beads so there's some continuity, but it'll give you a different texture using the French knots with the beads. Mixing them up's quite nice. Jump across there and put one in there. See how I'm pulling that tight before I pull it through? Always do that. Put one in there. Thread down towards you, needle away, wrap the needle, needle goes in, pull the thread tight, through to the back. Once you get the hang of them, I promise you'll love them, and you'll be like French knotting everything. Okay, one more colour, just to match those beads. Oh, not in the end. I know this looks a bit messy, but I am being quite organised. I've got my knots out of the way of the area I'm working. I've brought all the threads I'm not using back to the top. Don't leave them underneath, you'll end up with a terrible bird's nest that you'll have to undo. So just bring them to the top, and then brought them up on the line so I can actually do a French knot there. So there's no need to take it through to the back and reposition it, it's already in position. Let's jump and fill that one in over there. Let's do a twice round, like so. There's a little one missing off the bottom here, so I think I'm going to put one in there just to form that letter. You can see how consistently they're coming out, these French knots. It's that follow the rules, keep the rhythm going, and they'll always come out the right way. So I'm going to jump back to my white one. So I'll just finish the D off, and we'll have a look at the S, and I'll show you another knot to follow on from the French knot. Okay, let's have a look at a colonial knot. So it's like a French knot with an extra twist to it, if you like. So start the same way, thread down towards you. With the French knot we had the needle and we wrapped. We're going to do that, but before we do that we're just going to scoop the thread underneath, the needle underneath that thread. So left to right, and just scoop and turn the needle. Now that actually leaves this thread on the right hand side as opposed to the left hand side. Then we wrap like a normal French knot over the top, back underneath. Needle goes into the fabric nearby. Pull that tight around there, and it's actually got an extra wrap in it, so you'll get a bigger knot. So if you want a larger knot, so there's a normal French knot and there's a colonial knot. So I'll do that again. Thread down towards you, scoop underneath, left to right, and pick up that thread. Turn it horizontally, so that thread's now on the right hand side, not the left. Then we do a normal French knot. over the needle, back underneath towards you. Keep the tension on that thread. Needle goes back into the fabric nearby. Pull it tight. Pull your needle through. You can do a French knot. You can do a colonial knot. Now that thread's getting a bit short, so I'm going to finish it off. Get it out of the way. Finish the S in the other colour. So back to the top. I've done 2 small stitches to finish it. Cut that off. Let's come in with the white one. It's got lots of thread on that. So scoop underneath. Turn your thread so it's the needle's 90 degree horizontal. Over the needle, back towards you. Into the fabric. Pull that tight. Through to the back. And you get a bigger knot. So you can mix these knots with French knots, you can mix them with beads, so you can get different sizes. Scoop, turn, over, back, needle goes in, pull the thread tight, through to the back. We have got a video on this stitch. If you want to see it in more detail, put that up here for you. Just breaks it down a little bit more and you can just study the colonial knot on its own. I just wanted to show you it in context in this lettering with the French knots and with the beads. Park that white one down there. Scoop, turn, over and back. Let's squeeze a little French knot in there. I want a smaller knot, so I'll do a little French knot to fill in the gaps. So it's handy to have some different size knots in your stitching repertoire. Of course, changing the thread and how many strands you use will change the size of the knot as well, so that's another way that you can make a bigger knot. Okay, let's finish in the blue. Let's do another colonial. A little gap there, come in, stick another one in there, put a French knot in there because it's just a small space, stick a big colonial knot in here, underneath, turn, scoop, turn, wrap, one more on the end, scoop, wrap. So if you've liked this video, don't forget to check out the other ones that I've mentioned as well. Give us a thumbs up if you like us. You can leave a comment below. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Subscribe to the channel, and if you click the little bell, you'll get notifications of when we upload something new. And don't forget to check out all our other videos. We've got loads of stuff on there. More stitches, some projects, some gold work, so lots of things to have a go at.